Well, welcome back. That was quick, quicker than I had thought. Our guests are Mr. Johnson Chukwu, economist and CEO of Cowry Assets Management Limited. He joins us from his office, as you can see, via Zoom. And we have Mr. Kayode Oyedeji, economist, in the Lagos studio here. And we're looking at the statement of the finance minister blaming in part, perhaps a large part, the $6.8 billion on overdue, outstanding on overdue forward payments as a problem. And it's been said that once that can be cleared, the minister said that. So let me take it to another area. And first of all, I wanted to stop at the juncture of the president has been saying that, he said it abroad especially, that look, he's collapsed the twin dollar,
exchange rates.
Yes. So the I&E, the import and export window, and there's no black market. It's supposed to be parallel, but it's not. It's not. I said at the top of the program, unless you know better, that we're at slightly over 1,000 to the naira, yet the official rate is around the 800 naira mark. So since the president has said that, what is responsible for that? Let me ask you first. What is responsible for that fact?
Well, I think one unfortunate side of the foreign exchange market in Nigeria is that we've not been able to deal with the plurality of markets which we've had over the years. Before I said that, I'd like to say that these problems have been on ground for decades, and subsequent governments refused to do the right thing. We have a black market that is practically not ideal or illegal or whatever we'll call it, but it's more efficient than the official markets. And unfortunately, over the years, it has gained reputation, quote unquote, to develop capacity to determine the trend in the economy. It has the capacity to determine the price of the naira itself, to define everything about the naira. You know, the black market, the way it works, once buyer and seller interface, a deal is struck. But the official market is more rigorous. You have a lot of documentation to do. You have to probably go to your bank and do all kinds. But once you make a call to a black market operator, I need dollars, you will be able to consummate a transaction. So it's more effective, unfortunately. It's only in Nigeria that you see people doing that kind of thing.
And this is coming from the very official quarters that the banks, just about every bank in this country has a currency dealer attached to it.
It is somewhere in the bank.
Yes, he's an unofficial attaché.
Yes.
And so this illegal business is going on.
It will continue to go on for a while. So when the president said he has collapsed all multiple exchange rates, good one for Nigeria. What we now have, we have a market, we have a rate that everybody can relate with, that the market can relate with. Then we also have the black markets. Unfortunately, we've not been able to adequately fund the official markets. If you walk to the banking hall and say, I want to buy PTA or whatever now, they will tell you it's not available.
Yes.
The moment it's not available and you must have it, to go to your black markets.
That currency dealer up front there somewhere.
You begin to wonder.
The money of which was provided for him by the very bank that is telling you.
The very bank or from diaspora remittances. Yeah. So what the CBN needs to do critically and quickly, they have to streamline the whole thing. Make sure that they find a way to shrink the big. They always claim it's just 5% of foreign exchange markets, but ideally we all know it's more than that. And if it's just 5%, we know the potency is having overriding impact on the entire market. Government was beginning to look, number one solution, find a way, like my boss has said,
yes, Johnson,
find a way to make sure that you sort out the immediate pressing demand for dollars. The obligations are settled, whether you go to multilateral agencies or you do what the President Tinubu has been doing lately, talking to governments and presidents for intervention. It's not just roaming about the streets of the world. It's going there to negotiate for interventions, not just for investments. Get foreign investments that can help you to immediately offload the backlog of overdue obligations. Then in the medium term, begin to look at more fundamental issues, how you grow the economy, how you streamline CBN operations in such a way that every kobo, every dollar cent coming in dovetails into the banking system for effective management, for regulatory efficiency, and all that. But before that, we must be able to clear the backlog before we can even talk about moving ahead.
Let me then go back to come back to you, Johnson. When the central bank governor was being interviewed in the Senate, I think it was Senator Oshiomhole who had expressed his concern that, look, the CBN governor is coming in highly loaded, but for all of that, his experience is is in the commercial sector of banking. And even though he gave the assurance that, look, he has a reputation for detailed, processes and being a stickler for detail and all of that, Senator, Oshiomhole had said that a commercial approach, I think he was fearing that it might be inevitable, whereas that's not what is required in Nigeria. The official rate of around 800 naira now, using this example, is what really should be developed. Could you speak to that and that concern of Senator Oshiomhole that commercial bank experienced people see things differently from central bank policy people?
Okay, I think what he was talking about is about the academic background of and the professional experience of the CBN governor. I'm not sure I know his academic background, what he studied in his first degree and second degree, and I think he has a doctorate degree. But what
forgive me, Johnson, I beg your pardon for interrupting you. I'm going to come straight back to you, but we have a caller on the line. Good morning, Mr. George. Good morning, Mr. George. Good morning. Mr. George,
I'm hearing you very faintly.
Now I just heard you now. Thank you for holding on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
All right. Yes, good morning to your guests. And Uncle Yori, if what we are hearing about the ongoing probe at CBN is anything to go by, there is need to take a second look at the components of this $6.8 billion that we are talking about settling. Letters of credit that were issued, where services were not rendered, a situation where an airline charges 3 times what he charges other countries in Africa to come to Nigeria. If you are traveling from London to Lagos, you will pay 3 times against what the person traveling from the same London to Accra is paying. But all those things, I think it is rather too late to do something about this current one. But going forward, the Minister of Finance and the CBN governor must shine their eyes about all these commitments that brings about this indebtedness.
So forgive me for interrupting you. I wanted to understand, are you therefore suggesting an audit of the given figure around $6.8 billion overdue forward payments? Are you virtually calling for?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Did I understand you? Is that what you're saying, that it probably needs to be audited so we know the veracity of that figure? Is that what you're saying? Well, I think I've lost Mr. George. Let me return to you, Johnson. Sorry for interrupting you, but I wanted to. He had been holding on for a long time. So you were explaining this whole matter about what the experience of the managers of central bank would be or should be, and how important it is.
What I was saying is that you have to look at the academic professional background of the CBN governor nominee, as I then now confirmed. And like he said, the CBN central bank is a policy institution, not a for-profit institution. Commercial banks are for-profit institutions. Commercial banks primarily only to lend, take deposit, and lend to those who want money. Central bank is about defining the policies, that determine the price level and also sustain what we call financial system stability. Those are the primary roles of the central bank. Lending, which it does to the federal government as lender of the last resort, is just a secondary role of the central bank. Of course, policy management and all those things. So central bank is driven by policy. Like I said, I don't have details of Dr. Cardoso's academic background, but Nigeria's history is replete with central bank governors who came from commercial banks, right from the days of Oguma to the days of the senior Sanusi to Sanusi Lamide Sanusi, and now Godwin Emefiele. They all came from commercial banks. So I don't think the problem we have is that the person who is superintending the affairs of the central bank is coming from commercial bank. It's all about what's the person's academic and professional background. Is the person policy oriented? Once you assume that role, you have to divest yourself of your commercial banking experience, and then you have to relearn and unlearn and relearn policy management. But it's important if you understand economic issues. It's important if you have an economic background, so you understand how the interplay of the market variables, the price levels, and also understand that once you touch a major variable on the macroeconomic environment, it has multiplying effect on other variables, and you should understand how they interact and interface with each other. It's necessary you have that background. It will help you in understanding policies and implementing policies, taking decisions and implementing policies. So what he was saying in summary is that central banks are policy institutions, commercial banks are for-profit organizations, and that we should not confuse both. Those who should run the central bank should have sound background on policy, particularly as it relates to macroeconomic policies or monetary policies. So if you understand that, you can run the central bank.
Yes. All right, then. Good morning, Mr. Taiwo in Lekki. Thank you for holding on. Go ahead now.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. This is my first time of coming in.
We're delighted to have you on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really always enjoy your this morning. Yeah, I want to just follow up to Mr. George. The question I was saying is that they need to really audit all this question of $6.8 billion that is it. We need to do audit. In addition to that, the generating entities, like even NNPC Limited, what the government needs to do is that they should not all those there now. They were doing the total wrong thing. I won't lie to you. I work in that organization for 32 years. So what they need to do that they should restructuring totally, so that the federal government or the president can get the first hand of what is happening. Removing the vice president executive and leaving the group CEO. I'm telling you, sir, because why is it now that they are developing a lot of what do they call it now? Detecting a lot of crude oil theft. He was there as a GGM there for 8 years because before he became the GMD, before he became the. So they know all those things. They let them go and make it fresh. And the president needs to support himself. People that can tell him the right thing. Because majority of Nigerians, they will tell lies in order to buy his own favor. Please, who are very close, they should take it because the president has a very good mind for Nigeria. But whatever is happening now, 1,000 plus for $1. But however, the previous government has done, we cannot, but government is a continuum.
All right, then.
Please.
Thank you.
Overall, even NNPC, they should not leave anything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your calling in. Stay with us, please. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.